So every once in a while, I'll be looking up something that I know I've looked up before, and then I promise myself I'll make sure I make an archive of it. And I realize I did a video about it because I find an archive from 2019 when I did the last video on this subject and find the archives I did through archive.org. So here's the same video, apparently. I don't even know which video title it had, but here we go. Windows 7 was subjected to a sabotage attempt by Microsoft Corporation. Now, at this point, I think they're past the point of flagging bloggers for pointing this out, but I'll just bring it up. In order to update your Windows 7 2009 era system, the original Windows 7, to be able to do Service Pack 1 or any of the other updates, it had a set of prerequisites Microsoft Corporation acknowledged, then denied, then buried, and then went out of their way to erase and harass you over by going through 7 redirects on their website over a period of 1 year to keep you from being able to make an archive of it, including making it to where it was hidden behind a purity test to prove that you didn't steal something. Anyway, the two files needed are 10 megabytes, 10.2, and it's a 64-bit version of the file, and the other one is a 4.3 megabyte 32-bit version. If your computer's operating system is working in primarily 64-bit version or 32-bit version, you have to use the appropriate one. Download both while you can. Both of these files, along with Service Pack 1, are archived through archive.org, and Microsoft Corporation not only has no legally valid reason to take it down, they're not allowed to anymore. So the files are available. So what is this file? Knowledge base names are also used for patch numbers, because very often a knowledge base article will come up saying, we have a problem, and then they'll just name the patch that fixes it after the knowledge base article. And this is knowledge base article 976902. That's 900,000 knowledge base articles by the year 2011 or 2010. That boggles the mind. I'm sure it's not really referring to requiring almost 1 million fixes over the years up to that point for their operating systems, because that would be fucking crazy. Anyway, let's move on. It's Windows 7 as Windows 6.1. That's literally, it's Windows 6. That's its version number, major version number as far as software compatibility requirements, version 6.1. Windows 7 update in a 32 or 64-bit CAB file, MSU file, or EXE, executable file. This update is from, it's an update from Christmas 2010. It's the Christmas update, otherwise known as the Black Hole update. It's a 4.3 megabyte file for 32-bit systems and 10.2 megabyte for a 64-bit system update that has this long string of characters there is no way to shorten. It'll be linked below in the description 2 ways. One way, it'll be done up as a clickable link. The other way, it will have the HTTP ripped off of it so that YouTube hopefully lets you see it, because it keeps wanting to hide things. Great job. What is this? Well, it's a set of updates, or more accurately, hacks, that force Windows 7 that came out in 2009 to, by the year 2010, December, be able to be updated with a cumulative update, otherwise known as a Service Pack 1. Unofficially, a service pack had been created by people downloading all the patches and finding out which patches fucked things up and which ones didn't, and just applying the ones that did work, and then modifying patches that were broken, and doing this through the online help forums that they were allowed to interact with on Microsoft's website. Microsoft Corporation allowed people to go through and fix broken files at one time, as long as you didn't rub their nose in it, apparently. Anyway, this also included combinations of MSUs and EXEs for other files. They would have a long string of characters after, let's say, knowledge base, whatever number, dash, 64 dash, and then it would have a long string of code because that was a revision number, obfuscated, and also that was, if you weren't aware of it, the checksum or the hash code or whatever for it, so that it would be self-testing to make sure it was a valid one. And it would go from windowsupdate.com or Microsoft Windows MSDN or some other named .com website or FTP. Now, why would Microsoft Corporation sabotage this? Now, originally, again, the file itself is just a download. It's just you click a link and you get the file. It still works. They stopped supporting it. But the original, no joke, 2010 version of the file is still there because they have an obligation, well, to the U.S. government, the U.S. military, and the Central Intelligence Agency not to delete a stable link. Now, where did I find these links for these files that Microsoft Corporation was trying to get rid of? A Russian hacker site? Yes, the easiest way to find information about files that are being kept from being erased, even though Microsoft Corporation wants to delete them, that they have to leave up for the CIA, is to look on a Russian hacking site. It's just the link to a file that Microsoft Corporation put up. What is in it? It's 4 or 10 or 14 megabytes if you're doing a bunch of machines worth of data that just makes the operating system able to be updated to Service Pack 1. Now, the Service Pack 1 version, the directory structure, indicates that it's 2011 May and 2011 March or January, February versions of the download files. That's it. Now, some of these are really dinky files that are designed to tell your computer to auto-update correctly, but you can just download the direct link. Service Pack 1, if it's for 32-bit computers, is 500 megs, and it's 900 megs if it's a 64-bit computer. Those are available, and you can find newer versions and older versions. Most people would obviously use the newer version. Here's the problem. The newer version will not let you update a 2009 era Windows 7 install, which a shit ton of people had at one time and still do. Yes, I know. We're talking literally 10 years ago. This was the reason they sabotaged it. They sabotaged it on purpose because they didn't want people to do that, because the original illegally copied, easily hacked version that virtually every technician used as a base point was based on this earliest version that didn't know how to do an update to a service pack. And it was missing certain update routines. It was also missing the ability to security check the update, which is a requirement. So this patch, and it's only 14 megabytes of stuff, makes your computer able to check to see if it's installing something dangerous, because that's important. Now remember, everybody else just downloaded all the service pack updates, all the patches, and read, before they ever installed them, which ones broke, and then got the better version until they all had stability in about the year 2010, 2011. When the service pack was about to be put out, Microsoft Corporation did a 180 and started altering a bunch of these files. So you had to get older versions all of a sudden, because they did not want you to be able to just apply them and have the equivalent to Service Pack 1, because Service Pack 1 was a carrot and stick thing to make sure that you were running Windows Genuine Advantage Validation Tool. Some of you might already be going and recoiling in horror. This is a utility that would hold your machine hostage until you did what it told you. It then would keep you from installing a new video card or sound card, upgrading your RAM, fixing your hard drive, anything. Now, my computer is running the version of Windows 7 that can't run that, because I have a program called Genuine Validation Tool or whatever, .exe, that's nothing but a hack toy that keeps it from running the damn thing. It doesn't have the ability to interfere with anything, because that's the patch they released for the beta versions. So I'm literally legit using Microsoft's own code to keep them from being able to turn off my computer without permission. Do I have a valid key on this? I have a volume license key on my computer. So does most people, because Microsoft Corporation gave them out at one point. And then you're supposed to do the $20 or the $5 serial number that's on the back of your computer to register it. It was never meant to validate it. Yeah, it was so you'd automatically opt into their subscription service. It had nothing to do with validating whether you pirated anything. Most computers were sold from, like, let's say Dell or IBM with a volume license key. The key is identical between all the machines usually. And Microsoft Corporation did that because the company said, we won't use your software until you give us volume license keys. period. And guess what? People would install Windows 7 onto Macintoshes, which cannot pass the validation test. So they'd be given a validation toy that didn't do anything except, yeah, it's good. And again, they gave it away. It was publicly available. And then they tried to make it go away. That doesn't work if it's 14K bytes, because it's even smaller and faster and more efficient because it's fake. They made it. And they did it because the validation tool kept breaking and ruining machines all the time. You'd install new RAM, you install a new hard drive, just an extra hard drive. You plug in a thumb drive. If it was over a certain capacity, it would invalidate your Windows install and say, call up Microsoft Corporation. Run the validation tool. Bend over and take it. And they wanted it that way. Then they started force installing, I think it was Windows 8, Windows Vista, Windows 7, started having forced installs of various pieces of software that would cripple your computer, not work, push installs. Okay, that's a long drawn-out story, so let's go to the point. If you have a version of Windows 7 that's on a disk that came from any OEM, or even a burned copy that was a copy of a perfectly good one, it is very likely not to let you update it to Service Pack 1. Microsoft Corporation stopped supporting Windows 7 this year entirely. Extended care. Which means you have to manually download 1.4 gigabytes of Service Pack and 14 sticking megabytes to make that able to work if you have any of these older versions. You can also still download from Digital River, I think it was, the full version of the OEM Windows 7 Ultimate with all of the different options for you to be able to install every version, including the 32 and 64-bit version, Slipstream, with all the service packs in it. But it still requires this 14 megabytes of shit they don't tell you about. Because again, the ones we actually use is the bare bones install that didn't have a bunch of sabotage code in it. The latest version you download, which may be the one I'm linking to without knowing it, nope, it's the 2011 version. The newer versions include the sabotage code to keep you from being able to do it because Microsoft Corporation has no soul. And why would you assume they do? Also, there is a Forums Malware Bytes topic, how to update Windows 7 to the latest security updates, that includes a stack of at least 20 update paths that you better hope are archived that I'm going to download and dump onto a hard drive. I do this once every 4 or 5 years, and the previous version I did apparently was in 2019 or something like that because I just found the archive I did. It's absolutely the one I did because I do this thing where I type in the serial, the sequence for the URL 2 different ways, with and without the HTTPS, to force it to make sure it makes a copy of it. Because every once in a while, Microsoft Corporation or other companies make it to where it just gives you a fake file that's a gigabyte across. So this is if you were trying to make a Windows 7 install for a legacy computer or a virtual machine and you need to do this. Currently, the links work directly, and if they don't work, do it through archive.org. And if that doesn't work someday, you're going to have to find somebody who has this stuff burned to a disk. Hopefully, by that point, Microsoft Corporation will have been run out of business, and we can just get the files for free. And I'll try to find all of the other links and put them in below, and I'll update this every chance I get. And I will include an obfuscated archive.is link that goes to Imager that has all of these linked without any interference, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.